Welcome back, everyone. We're here in the grand finals of the Semi-Pro Cup Series. Once again, I'm Niz, and welcome to the cast. So we've got $100 on the line for the winner of this best of one. We've got Team AGG that was sitting here waiting for the winner of our previous match, the semifinals between Band of Misfits and Pinoy Sunday Stack. And of course, we saw Band of Misfits take that game in a pretty dominating fashion. But now they're going to have one more game left before we see who the finalist is and who the winner is, the victor, I guess, of the Semi-Pro Cup Series for this week. But already the draft well underway as you've got Earth Spirit and Bounty Hunter banned out by Team AGG. And Band of Misfits, they chose to go with the same bands that they used last time, the Invoker and the Outworld Devourer. Then our first pick was the Beastmaster by Team AGG, followed up by the Nature's Prophet and the Oracle for Band of Misfits. And now the final set of first round picks are in as Night Stalker gets picked up by Team AGG. Still, we haven't seen Doom touched. And I'm a little surprised by that because he was pretty contested in ESL Manila. But apparently not touched so far, as he still remains not picked, not banned. As I don't believe he was banned in our first game. In fact, I'm pretty sure he wasn't. I'm trying to remember what the first four bans were. As I know it was Invoker, OD, Bounty Hunter, and I'm trying to think of the last one. Was it Enchantress? Probably was Enchantress. That's another really highly contested hero pick in ESL Manila. But now, Death Prophet and Ember Spirit both getting banned out. We saw both those heroes squaring off in the mid lane last game. But it's not going to happen this game, as neither of them will be in the game. As both getting banned here. As for our picks so far, we've got the Nature's Prophet, which, I mean, pretty flexible, but largely we see the Nature's Prophet in the offlane. Of course, Oracle, pretty strong defensive support. So that's what Band of Misfits have so far. And then Team AGG, same thing. They've got their offlaner and their Beastmaster, and then the Night Stalker. Instead of being the more defensive of the two supports, expect him to be the more aggressive of the two supports. So he's going to be playing most likely that position 4. There's that Enchantress getting banned out by Team AGG. To await the 4th ban from Band of Misfits.
10 seconds remaining.
And a lot of this is just reading into what potential draft Team AGG could go for. And Band of Misfits trying to ban out something that could synergize really well with Team AGG going down the line. But it's also them banning out something that could be strong against their lineup as well. As they've got a couple... Typically when you're drafting, when you already know, based on the initial bans, the kind of... what's going to happen with the first picks. So they know Beastmaster's going to be in the pool. Maybe they're going to pick up Beastmaster. What's our response if they pick up Beastmaster? Or maybe you pick up the Nature's Prophet Oracle without even regarding the Beastmaster as the first pick. You don't even care what the first pick is as long as it's not one of those two heroes. But then you respond with that, and then from there, you see what their second pick's going to be, and then you've got a couple avenues that you're going to take your draft. Or I say a couple, but it's really more than that. You've got a whole bunch of different directions that you're willing to take the core that you're making of your draft. And I struggle to use the word core there because typically core in Dota is kind of... Your core heroes are your safe laner, your mid laner, and to some extent your off laner. Is your 3 core damage dealing or 3 almost carries. As once again, that's not exactly the best word to use there, but the 3 major components of your team that are going to help carry you and help really formalize the team in the mid game and the late game. So I struggle to use that word core here, but basically when you're looking at your draft, your core draft is your first 2 to 3 heroes, and then from there you're going to look to close it out, as you've got a couple different branches that you can go to finish off that draft. And every time we get to a banning phase, that changes, or some of those get knocked off. So they go open with the Nature's Prophet and the Oracle. They end up finally banning that lone druid, by the way. But then coming out of that banning phase to say, okay, from this position we want to go with the Doom. And we're going to start opening up our draft from that potential list of conclusions to our draft. So they pick up the Doom, which, I mean, we've seen it's a pretty aggressive, pretty greedy style draft. As you've got a Nature's Prophet and a Doom, one of them's going to be in the jungle. I guess not 100%, but most likely one of them's going to be in the jungle. So you're already kind of funneling your draft down towards a more greedy style of play. Gyrocopter is going to pick you up in the mid game, so they pick that up. I like that pick. It actually is going to show them a lot of strength in the mid game, and especially if they can get a kill and they can win a team fight in the mid game, that Nature's Prophet's going to really punish Team AGG and do a lot of damage. However, Team AGG's picked up a Disruptor. It's going to be strong against, to some extent, strong against the Nature's Prophet. But it's also going to give them a lot of team fight, and it's going to do a lot of disruption and making sure that when they hard engage with a Doom, Disruptor, assuming he's not the one who's doomed, is going to be able to control some space, get some good team fight going their way as well with a big Static Storm and Kinetic Field. And that's going to help really turn the fights back around in their favor after Doom's already come out. And you know what? If you throw that out and it turns into a big disengage both ways, I think that's fine. Your support's used his ultimate to counter Doom, a big ultimate as well. And even though we kind of expect that Doom to be playing the more position 4 role for Band of Misfits, it's a big team fight ult for them. And I think you're fine actually trading those two. But we expect kind of the Doom to engage with that and the Disruptor to follow up as kind of being more... It's almost a disengager, but also an engager, a counter engage. It's interesting. Team AG can play off the back of how that Disruptor is able to place that Kinetic Field and Static Storm. And if it's a good one, then they certainly go all in. And if it's not, then they can always just back away and they're fine. Because assuming Disruptor doesn't accidentally place it somewhere that he shouldn't, then they should be perfectly fine. Disengaging on the back of it. But Juggernaut's going to be the final or the 4th pick for Team AGG. Then we moved into our next banning phase as Puck got removed by Band of Misfits and the Wind Ranger got removed by Team AGG. So Band of Misfits, last pick, they're up on the chopping block first. We got Nature's Prophet as our position, or as our offlaner, Oracle position 5, Doom most likely position 4, Gyrocopter safe laner, and that position 1. So we're looking at the position 2, the mid laner for the Band of Misfits. And Team AGG, we expect Beastmaster to be our offlaner, position 4 Night Stalker, position 5 Disruptor, and Juggernaut safe lane. So we expect both teams to be picking their mid laner here. There is the off chance that Team AGG could put the Juggernaut, or to some extent even the Night Stalker, but most likely the Juggernaut, if anything, in the mid lane, and then they'd be picking up a safe laner, but that kind of remains to be seen. Most likely we will see that Juggernaut in the safe lane. Unless they try some aggressive lane, which, I mean, you can maybe try that with the Night Stalker, Disruptor, Juggernaut going up against Band of Misfits, Gyrocopter, and Oracle, given that they know the Doom's going to be in the off lane, or in the jungle. But it's still risky because it's a Gyrocopter. It's hard to really punish that. You're leaving your Beastmaster safe lane against a Nature's Prophet, which actually isn't too bad either way. That's a fine lane for the Beastmaster. It's a fine lane for the Nature's Prophet. It should be okay.
10 seconds remaining.
I don't know. I don't know if you take that route. I think you probably just say, okay, let's just
Dire team
pick up a more standard mid laner. And interesting. Sven's going to be the final pick for Band of Misfits. So we expect the Sven to be in the mid lane. And now, what do you do? Maybe it's not a mid Sven. Maybe it's a mid Gyrocopter. That could work too. So now you're not 100% convinced how Band of Misfits is going to be laning this.
10 seconds
but if you do believe the Sven's in the mid lane, what do you pick to go up against it?
Reserve time.
I don't know, and they certainly don't have an immediate answer to it, as they're definitely going to dip into their reserve time. They only have 10 seconds of it left. Back to 5, 4, 3, 2.
Alchemist.
It's going to be an Alchemist? Oh my. It's been a long time since we've seen an alchemist in our cast, at least. This is going to be interesting. Huh. And looking at who's already picking the heroes, it could very well be a gyrocopter mid. I'm not sure who the mid player for Team AGG is. Maybe it is going to be the Jug mid, Alchemist safe lane. But you could very well put the Alchemist mid. He'd do alright against Gyro. Interesting. Well, it's going to be a good conclusion to our Semi-Pro Cup Series cast tonight. Is, well, certainly a different draft than we're used to seeing. And let's find out who's playing what. Is on our Radiant side, it's going to be the band of Misfits. We saw them win in the semifinals to get here. We've got Reaper playing the Sven. Tunerla, who landed a pretty beastly shallow grave earlier in the night. He's going to be playing Oracle. We've got Symbol playing the Gyrocopter. Eosyn's going to be on the Doom. And Sulfu's going to be on the Nature's Prophet. As for our Dire side, they were sitting waiting in the finals, waiting for the winner of our other match, and it's going to be Team AGG, as we've got Old White playing their Night Stalker. We've got Favorite Song on the Juggernaut. Blizzard is going to be on the Disruptor. Sheep716 is going to be on the Alchemist. And across the map, we've got QR playing the Beastmaster.
30 seconds to battle.
Sorry, once again getting spammed in chat. It looks like we've got Team AGG taking control of the top rune location, whereas we've got Band of Misfits moving into the bottom.
I'll take that as tribute.
As both teams split their bounty runes. And everyone starts taking their lanes. Looks like... Alright, we've got the Juggernaut in the mid lane going up against the Gyrocopter. So that's how they're going to lane this. That leaves in our top lane Nature's Prophet going up against this tri-lane of Night Stalker, Disruptor, and Alchemist. Bottom lane's going to be an off-lane Rexar, or Beastmaster, as I can finally click on him. Going up against a safe lane farming Sven, protected by an Oracle, and the Doom's going to be sitting in the jungle. So that's our lanes and how they shake out. Sulfu getting slowed down there. The stun's starting to get channeled by the Alchemist, and looks like Sulfu's going to be our first blood. So he got a good amount of damage in on Blizzard, but not enough to get first blood himself. Now Sulfu's going to go down there, and as Alchemist said, they're off to an explosive start as they get that first blood. I'll try to keep tabs on our mid lane as Gyrocopter going up against this Jug. So far, Jug's actually winning out in terms of his ability to get some denies here, as he's now at 5 and 5 CS, whereas the Gyro is only sitting at 2 and 3. So far, so good for Favorite Song going up against Symbol. Old White's going to try to do his best as he can on this Night Stalker, doing a little bit of jungling. Of course, he's not going to be able to keep up with the Doom, as Doom's just going to be a little bit more efficient at that jungling. But, of course, the Night Stalker's got the added benefit of being able to pop out of the jungle and try to set up a kill. Whereas Doom, not so much. I mean, he can eat a creep that'll maybe help him do so, but he's definitely not going to be as strong as a Night Stalker would. Both runes spawn, and Bounty Rune gets picked up by the Oracle. It was a regen rune in the top location. Old White picked that up, which will kind of help him continue to jungle, but nothing that's going to help him gank, unfortunately. So he'll just fall right back into that jungle. So both teams are pretty much just farming away here, as Oh, here we go. Smoke by Blizzard and Old White as they're going to try to set up a kill here on this mid lane, help Favorite Song out. Although, I mean, he's unfortunately not done as well as he did in the first couple waves. He's sitting at 6 and 6 CS, so he's only gotten 1 CS and 1 deny since we last checked in. But Symbol has had a great recovery. He's sitting at 11 and 5 as Old White and Blizzard still looking for a kill here, but Symbol kind of backed away. He met up with his career as he picked up his bottle. So the smoke will wear off. And Symbol, I'm not really sure where he was going there. He started moving down towards the bottom rune location, but of course he should know that his Oracle had already picked it up. This Blizzard still hanging around mid as Old White's already gone back to the jungle. Yeah, Symbol is very, very scared here. He's checking out. Eosyn's actually going to come in and check it out, make sure that the high ground is okay. And he will. Now Symbol's able to step up in the mid lane and get some good damage in on a Favorite Song.
Radiant's top tower is under
Start
attack.
taking control of the mid lane once again, but Spin's going to come out from Favorite Song. He has been leveling that at level 3 right now, so he gets a lot of damage in on that gyrocopter, but not going to be enough to kill him, but does pop that healing salve. So any further damage is going to start softening up the gyrocopter, but of course he does have his bottle flying in on the courier right now. As for our 2 safe lane farmers, we got Sheep 716 at 24, soon to be 25 and 7 CS. And 8 as he gets denied there. Whereas Reaper, slightly, very, very slightly ahead at 26 and 9. So both safe laners pretty much dead even. It's really just this mid lane that is the big one in terms of separating both these teams. 14 and 5 CS on the gyrocopter, and the Jug at 20 and 12. So we've seen it go very heavy in the Jug's favor. Then we saw the gyrocopter come back in a big way. But with those couple supports sitting on the high ground, that really punished the gyrocopter, and we've seen Symbol once again fall quite a bit behind Favorite Song here in the mid lane. But of course that comes at a cost. With those supports sitting there, that meant they weren't able to kind of farm themselves while Eosyn was sitting in the jungle farming the entire time. So when we actually look at and kind of compare the net worths for both teams, with that kind of trade-off, it's probably very similar, and probably don't see much of a difference between the two teams. I don't like looking at the net worth yet. I'll wait till around the 10-minute mark. But we are going to have a TP in from Sofu on the Nature's Prophet. He's going to place down a Sprout. It won't trap the hero, but it will make sure that he's not able to retreat, and he'll have to go the long way. On the back of that, he throws out the Omni Slash, but it's not going to be enough to keep him alive. So one of the reasons that you will Sprout like that is to prevent any kind of cut through of the trees and get out the other side. So you basically have to eat through 2 trees if you do that. There wasn't actually any way to eat through a tree there on the Juggernaut. Not sure if Soulful checked that or not, but he laid that Sprout down in that kind of position to maybe try that, or maybe he just missed it. But either way, it forced the Juggernaut to have to go all the way back around, as Symbol taking a little bit of damage there as well. Still a more passive game between both teams, as we've seen a little bit of aggression try to come out from either side, but just really hasn't netted any kills. We just had the kill on either side. As Reaper playing very safe, recognizing the fact that there was a rotation coming in from Old White and Favorite Song. And he will get that extra 50 gold from killing that bird from QR. But even Blizzard coming down here as well. So they actually had 4 heroes down here in the bottom lane. We now have Favorite Song going back towards mid. So it will still just be 3 in the bottom lane, but they're definitely looking to set up a kill here onto Reaper, and he needs to be careful because level 6 and Primal Roar is available for this Beastmaster. And Reaper, this could be this kill, this creep. No, they're actually going to back away. They're going to wait. And now Tunerla is going to start rotating down towards the bottom lane. Unfortunately, they don't know where Tunerla is, whether he's hiding in behind or not. And here comes the pink spam. But now, Tunerla has shown himself on Old White. There was a kill in the top lane as the Alchemist has gone down to the Doom. But Reaper is now in trouble. He's going to get trapped in the kinetic field. as he's dropping down and dropping very, very low. But here's the gyrocopter. Symbol comes in, gets a call down, only hits QR once, but they do get a kill, and unfortunately it's not on QR. It's going to be on the Night Stalker instead. But the aggression comes out from Team AGG, and it costs them. It costs them their Night Stalker, but it also costs them their Alchemist in the top lane. As we didn't get to watch it, but Eosin and Solfu managed to combine for a kill there on that Alchemist.
Radiant's middle tower
And we can see that Doom was indeed used. But yeah, that's always the downside. Whenever you try to go on the offensive and you try to kind of gather some heroes in one spot, it leaves you vulnerable in other places unless you're fully gathered as 5. And even still, if you're gathered as 5, you're still vulnerable in other places because the other team is then able to farm those places and just be more efficient than you. So there's always a trade-off. Every time you try to go offensive, there's always a trade-off. There's always a counterplay to it, whether you counterplay into the enemy team's aggression or you counterplay by avoiding and taking advantage elsewhere. There's always a counterplay to it, and we saw Band of Misfits just basically end up on the better end of that in 2 places at once. As Reaper will try to run away, but he is going to get slashed by Favorite Song, and now he's going to get spun on. But he'll only drop down to 250 HP. Glimpse going to bring him back in, trapped in the playpen. As Old White will just get turned around on, and he gets focused down, and now Favorite Song's in too deep. As he's going to try to come away, and he won't be able to, as the Primal Roar will indeed secure the kill there onto Reaper. But it is going to be 3 heroes dead on the side of AGG, just costing the Band of Misfits their 1 safe lane farming Sven. And it's going to be 1,000 gold swing going the way of Band of Misfits. As once again, Team AGG tries to go on the offensive, and Band of Misfits have the answer, and they're able to punish them for it. But Team AGG farming up their Alchemist that whole time, as he continues to be our leader in terms of last hits, as he's at 66 and 11, of course. Greevil's Greed is going to amplify that advantage as well. But he only has it at level 1 right now, so it's not going to give him a ton of gold in addition to his regular last hits. But it will allow him to be a little bit more offensive if they choose to use him that way. Symbol looks like he's going to head back to base, get his mana back up, and also top off his bottle so he's able to go offensive. Call down is available. Eosin's Doom is also back up.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
So maybe they'll look to use that. Mech almost complete on Silfu. Sange has been picked up by the Alchemist. Oh, they're trying to go for another kill here in the bottom lane, but Eosin, who knows what's up? He's hiding in the trees, and there's really going to be no opening there for him, for them to go on that Doom. And even still, you have to keep in mind, Doom is now being played largely as a support, and certainly in this game he's being played as a position 4. As we actually miss Reaper going down to the creeps there. But they try to go for an opening here on Sheep, but not able to find it. Meanwhile, Favorite Song's is able to free farm in the mid lane, and now they'll actually TP a hero to go defend against him, but it is Eosin away from the bottom lane.
Radiant's bottom tower is
He was hiding there for a while, as maybe he was hoping that his teammates were going to TP on in, and they were going to look for some counterplay, but not going to pan out for them. So instead, Eosin will TP away, and they will, unfortunately, give up their bottom tier 1 tower. Last hit going to QR, which should get him very, very close to finishing his Necrobook.
Middle tower is under attack.
So we'll switch on over to our net worth, and we can see Sheep 716 is the leader in terms of net worth at 6,100. And oh, they might dive him here, as no, he's just going to TP away. So he's not going to take any chances. Eosin was charging on in there too.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
It looks like this top tier 1 tower will go down for Team AGG as Band of Misfits score that there. But AGG looking for a trade. As they're going to get some damage on the bottom tier 2. But here come the TPs. As Tunera at least TPs. He's not going to be able to defend it by himself. But this could be a moment where Band of Misfits will choose to fight. They just have mech finished by the Nature's Prophet. Favorite Song's down here as well. This could be a very, very big fight if either team chooses to take it. Oh, they saw Old White rotating on in immediately. A bunch of pinks coming in as Reaper was getting the flank on them, but didn't pan out. Old White started backing, and Reaper had to back away so that he wasn't the one who was getting ganged up on. We will have a 5-man smoke from Band of Misfits as they're going to look to engage here. Symbol and Reaper charge forward. Immediately, their smoke gets popped by Old White as they try to run forward, but we got an Alchemist stun charging as here comes the engage. Old White has engaged Reaper. There's the Static Storm kinetic field. It's just going to trap Reaper as Old White getting very, very low, and he will be our first casualty of the team fight as QR going down as well. Sheep 716 getting right click down by Eosin as the Alchemist will channel a very brief stun and throw it onto the Doom, but he is the only one left alive, and he will go down as Eosin is able to smack him one more time. Soulfu had his retreat covered anyways with the TP teleport in from the Nature's Prophet, but a full 5-man team wipe as Band of Misfits find themselves ahead again by another 20 or 3,300 gold on the back of that team fight. And it may even be more so, as I mentioned in the draft, whenever you win a team fight, this Nature's Prophet, assuming he's still alive, is going to really add a lot of pushing potential to your lineup. We expect this tier 1 tower to go down, although AGG looks like they want to try to defend here, and maybe too early as Old White basically just runs in and feeds there. A little bit of a misplay there, as they still had some heroes respawning. There's no way they were going to be able to defend that. Now Blizzard has found himself too far forward as he's going to go down, and this is just a disaster for Team AGG as they've lost one hero after another there, and it's going to cost them a second tower. Had they not lost their Night Stalker, and certainly had they not lost their Disruptor, they probably would have been able to easily defend that tier 2 tower. They would have been able to get in good position and get a good concave on their on Band of Misfits and make sure that they weren't able to get good position on that tier 2 tower. But instead, they throw away 2 heroes, and it ends up in Band of Misfits getting a free tower and 2 free hero kills as well. And now we'll quickly take a look at our gold graph, as it was pretty close. Now, the last team fight obviously helped out Band of Misfits, and then getting those 2 more kills and those 2 towers certainly helped them out even more. And now it's a 10k lead, and we're only 15 minutes into this game. XP 7,500 ahead for Band of Misfits as they've taken control of this game very, very early on. Certainly 13-2 in terms of hero kills is going to look pretty good for them, but look at the net worth. That Alchemist was over 1,000 gold ahead of anyone else for a while there, and now he's actually in second, and he's over, was that 1,400 gold behind the gyrocopter. Well, they're looking for any heroes hiding. They're not going to find it, but this Juggernaut doesn't really have much to his name, as he is well down that list. He's actually, wow, he's the 4th lowest net worth in this game. Things have not panned out well for AGG and their mid-Juggernaut, as he is very, very poor right now. Reaper isn't really that high up the list either, but we talked a little bit in the draft about how greedy this lineup for Band of Misfits was, with picking the Nature's Prophet, adding on the Doom, so you've got that jungle Doom, which I still view as very, very greedy. It doesn't really help you in lanes, doesn't really help either your safe lane or your mid lane, or any kind of roaming potential. That still affects your off laner as well, because supports can always rotate up there, but it's worked for them. It's allowed them to get a lot of gold on a lot of different lanes. Because AGG's tried to make some plays, tried to punish Band of Misfits for going with this greedy draft, and it's just been countered perfectly by Band of Misfits. And it's resulted in heroes like this Doom having a huge amount of gold, sitting at 4-0 and 6 right now in terms of his KDA. And he's sitting at 6,500 net worth. And now he's going to smoke up with 3 others, excuse me. It's a 4-man smoke, as they're going to look for an opening there. Blizzard's nearby, and they're not going to see him, though. Instead, they want to go after this Alchemist, so they're going to see the acid. They're going to know he was close. But the fact that those creeps are still there, they know that he's backed. They'll still keep looking. They're not going to find anything, though, as Nerla's smoke will get popped because he got too close to this tier 2 tower.
Dire's
now they're going to
middle
look for a
tower
push
is
here.
under attack.
Some pings are coming out on the map, and really, Team AGG is not prepared for this push at all, and well, they're not going to be able to defend it. It's going to be another free tower kill for Band of Misfits, and
Dire's
you know what?
middle
In
tower has
AGG's
fallen.
position, I think it's okay to not defend that. Your tier 2 towers are typically the more difficult towers to defend. Mid's probably the easiest of all the tier 2 towers for you to defend, but remember this gold graph, 10k gold deficit. That is a huge lead for Band of Misfits. And Team AGG, they're okay with saying, you know what? Give them the tower, we'll sit back, we'll farm a little bit longer, we'll try and kind of narrow the gap a little bit, and we'll defend where we're very much having the advantage in that top, in that high ground when they try to push for the tier 3. But now they're going to have to deal with an Aegis on the side of Band of Misfits, and it has been picked up by the gyrocopter. Try to check in on Sulfu. He's up to 1,700 gold. He's already picked up one Mithril Hammer. There's the second, so we know it is going to be a Desolator for him, as he just needs the recipe to complete that now. S and Y is going to be the target item for Reaper, as he's got the Helm of the Dom, and is that... Yep, that's all the items remaining for that, so S and Y completed for Sven. We've got 1,400 gold up on the Doom. He's already completed his Vlads. Nail's got his Arcanes, he's got his Urn. He's sitting pretty good as a support right now. And of course, we already saw the S and Y completed by Symbol, but he's added on that Aegis, and now he's at another 1,900, so we're going to see his next item choice fairly shortly. Typically, it is a BKB, but we'll see what he chooses to go for. And there's that Desolator now completed by Sulfu. As for our Dire side, let's take a quick jump around, as we got the Night Stalker's just got his Phase Boots and his Urn, which is a pretty common starting set of items for a Night Stalker, but I'd like to see him kind of add more items, get a little bit more gold in the wallet. But QR has just completed his Necrobook 3. We've got Blizzard with just his Brown Boots and his Urn, sitting at 200 gold right now. Take a look at favorite song, see if he's been able to bounce back, and he kind of has. He's not very high up on the net worth. He's still sitting at 4th. But he has added on a few more items, as we saw him complete his phase, but he's since added on his Drums of Endurance. And now the big one on the side of Team AGG. We've got Sheep 716, and you can see just how much they're hurting right now. He got the Soul Ring early, got the Treads as well. He's added on a Sange, but he's at 4,500 gold right now. He hasn't really added on anything else, but he is at 4,500 gold. So what is the big ticket item that he's saving for? I don't think it's Radiance. Maybe I'm wrong. Either way, they're going to have to defend their high ground here, and they may lose Rax with Alchemist sitting with 5,000 gold on hand, as he's going to buy Yasha, and they need items, and they need items to fight now, as there we go. He's going to try to deliver the items, but he's indecisive on what he's going to go with. S and Y, Blink Dagger is going to be the choice. He bought a Mjolnir there for a while. Well, look at this. The Rax, they're already down while he was sitting there trying to figure out what items he wanted to buy. They ended up losing Rax. They just were not ready to fight there. Now we got a Blink Dagger purchased by Reaper. That's going to be flying in. We've got a Shadow Blade picked up by the Doom as well. And just more and more items keep getting added on by Band of Misfits here. It's going to get harder and harder for Team AGG to try to defend here, because they're just not able to keep up with the farm, and they just keep losing buildings and losing map control.
Regeneration!
There's the BKB getting purchased by Symbol. That'll be flying in on the courier shortly. In fact, it's going to head out right now. Got the Shadow Blade on it for the Doom as well. Reaper's already picked up his Blink Dagger. Point Booster's been picked up by the Night Stalker as he starts working towards that Aghanims. Blade of Alacrity for the Jug. Smoke's going to be used by Blizzard as he's going to bring favorite song and Old White with him, looking for a kill. As they move into the Radiant Jungle, well, they might find Eosin, who still doesn't have a Shadow Blade on him. He's going to get stunned up. Well, the Primal Roar from QR. And really, Old White comes in for the kill there. I don't even think they need it. I think QR actually probably would have had that by himself. But good pick off for them. They're going to get a tier 1 tower on the back of it as well.
Radiant's middle tower
Well,
has
Band
fallen.
of Misfits have positioned themselves in the bottom lane to start dealing some damage to the tier 3s here. As Reaper's going to blink forward. He's going to get a stun off onto QR. Cooldown's going to get placed on top of Reaper. In fact, it lands directly on his head twice there, but it does basically nothing to him.
Bottom tower has fallen.
Because it's his own gyrocopters called down. I'm not sure what I was thinking there, but mistakes were made. Either way, we've got a Sprout getting cast by Soulfu there as they look to kind of disengage, but no, it's a re-engage as Reaper blinks up onto the high ground. The Omni Slash coming out from Favorite Song as he jumps around, but now he needed to be able to jump back home, but not able to do so as he tries to spin his way back, but doesn't happen. He goes down. Old White's going to go down as well, and this could very well be the end of the game. A shout out to Niz from Soulfu. Thanks, Soulfu. It looks very much like Band of Misfits are going to be taking this. As the shout-out came out there, but this is prior to a GG, as AGG have not tapped out of this game yet, but they're going to lose Old White, and they're going to lose Sheep 716, and I really don't see how they're going to be able to defend this, and there we go. The GG's well played will come out.
Dire's bottom barracks are under attack.
Pizza tonight, boys, says Reaper.
Dire's bottom barracks has fallen.
As they will win the $100 for winning the last Sunday of the month. That means $100 was on the line to the winner of the Semi-Pro Cup Series. So congratulations to Band of Misfits for winning that. As they won pretty much both games in a pretty dominating fashion. They took a real strong stranglehold on Team AGG fairly early on in this match, and AGG, they had a couple big mistakes, a couple really big mistakes. They tried to go on the aggressive twice early on, and it cost them. And then they lost a big team fight, and then they lost their bottom tier 1 tower, and then they just kind of threw away their Night Stalker and their Disruptor while they were waiting for some respawns. That ended up costing them a second tower. And then from then, they were just not able to really defend. They were giving up some towers. They said, all right, let's sit back. Let's try and defend high ground. And then when, you know, the final push tried to come out from, or sorry, not the final push, the first uphill push from Band of Misfits came out in the top lane, then Team AGG just weren't ready for it. We were looking at Alchemist. We saw that he had a huge amount of gold, and he just wasn't ready for the fight. He was still buying his items. He still, you know, was messing with the courier. And by the time he got all his items on his hero, they had already lost their tier 3 and their racks, and the fight was over. So then by the time Team AGG was really ready to fight, it was at that bottom tower. Bottom tier 3 tower. The fight for the racks there, and we saw Band of Misfits just had a huge lead at that point, and they just rolled right over them. But congratulations to Band of Misfits. They played 2 really good games, and they took the tournament for tonight. Once again, guys, I was Niz. Thanks so much for watching the cast. Make sure you hit a follow button if you did like the cast. I'm on twitch.tv/NizCast if you're listening in-game. If you didn't like the cast, sure, absolutely, reach out. Let me know why, and I'll try and improve it for the next cast. If you missed some of the cast and want to check out some of my older casts, they will be uploaded on youtube.com/NizCast. And you can also follow me on Twitter to find out when I'll be casting. That's twitter.com/NizCast or @NizCast, whichever you want. I have added something new to the channel that is below the player on twitch.tv. There is an extra panel now, which is kind of almost like a Twitter feed, although it's not a Twitter feed. But I will be letting you know when the next cast will be. So I'll post that after this cast has completed. But yeah, that's the way that you can quickly check in and see when the next cast will be. Of course, when I go live, I will tweet that out as well, so you can follow on both those locations to find out more. My next cast will be the Dota 2 Canada Cup, as that's finally starting up. I believe they were just completing the open qualifiers tonight, as I believe they started on Saturday. But we will be starting the group stage, and that's going to be on April 28th, and then we're going to have the big one, the Manila Major qualifiers. We're going to be casting a bunch of games for that, and then we go back to picking up the Dota 2 Canada Cup group stage. So we've got a lot of games coming up in the coming days or weeks, I guess. And pretty much tomorrow I'm going to try to upgrade my whole system to Windows 10. So hopefully that all goes well and everything is ready for the Dota 2 Canada Cup. But we will see you again on the 28th, and if not, we'll see you again on Sunday. But that's it for me tonight, guys. Have a good one. We'll see you again soon.